So when I was doing well, people would pat me on the back. All my best mates knew me as Cooper Chapman, the pro surfer. That was all well and good while I was a pro surfer and while I was doing well in my junior career. But then I went to the international tour and wasn't winning as much, and my mental health really started to decline. I was very lost because my identity was all Cooper Chapman, the pro surfer. I then spoke to my sports psych and basically told him how I was feeling. I was like, oh, people are so disappointed in me, all this. And he's like, mate, I want you to stop basing your self-worth and identity on your achievements, because we're going to come up short of our achievements. And I want you to start anchoring your self-worth and identity in how well you live to your values. And that changed my life. That was where I was like, you know what are my values? And those 5 things I talked about are now the values that I try and live by every day. And the byproduct of that is good mental health.
I feel nauseous, believe me. Never had a lot of shit come easy. Had to work hard, struggle just to be me. Had to rise up just so they could see me. Did what I had to do just to feed me. And what was left over I put towards my dreaming. But the only thing in life that has meaning are the things you gotta work for, believe me. Take into your hands a plan. Your own hands can land your own brand. And damn, I feel like no one takes accountability. They want the credibility.
Welcome back to the podcast, everyone. From Lambs to Lions, we are here again, and I'm joined by Cooper Chapman. Welcome, mate.
Thanks for having me, guys. It's awesome to be in a nice studio. It's very different to my setup.
Mate, it's look, setup aside, I think the message that you're bringing to the world is absolutely fucking epic, and it's doing a lot of good. So rather than me butchering it, do you want to tell everyone at home what the Good Human Factory is? Yeah,
so the Good Human Factory, I guess in very short form, is a mental health organisation I created 2.5 years ago. I'd had a bit of family history with mental illness growing up. I'd had an uncle that passed away to suicide when I was quite young. I watched my dad suffer from mental illness, a bit of depression, anxiety, and a bit of addiction to alcohol throughout my teen years. So I was always very forward thinking that mental health might be not a problem, but might be something that I need to be forward thinking about in my life. So throughout my 20s, I was very curious as to ways to improve, whether it be for my sporting performance as a professional surfer, and then had all these great skills that I could use that were good for my mental health as a whole. And then in 2017, my younger sister was in her last year of high school, year 12, and she came home one day and me and my whole family were sitting around the dinner table. I've got 3 beautiful sisters and mum and dad still together, so I'm very lucky in that fact. But every night for dinner we'd sit around the table together. And my younger sister came home and said one of her friends had taken his own life. And as we kind of all do, we have those stories all the time now. I was just like, far out, that sucks. Like, kind of as we all do, like, what could I do about it? Not really much. And then 2 weeks later, she came home and another friend took his life. And I was just like, screw this. I need to do something about this. Like, I've been gifted this incredible life. I've traveled the world as a professional athlete. I'm so fortunate. I worked my ass off, but I also have had all the opportunities in the world given to me. And then there's young kids in my local area taking their own lives. Like, something's got to change. So the Good Human Factory was born. I went and spoke to my my old school teacher that I had a pretty good connection with. It was a bit of a careers advisor, but also a bit of a mentor to me, and helped me kind of open my mind to what business is and how you can grow and different things. And I went and spoke to him and said, man, can I maybe come and speak to some of the students at my old school about the different tricks and tips that I use for my mental health that's a bit more holistic than the approach that a lot of the other mental health organizations are doing. And like I said, he was a bit of a mentor to me, and he's like, mate, there's actually a really good opportunity for you to start a business in this mental health. Public speaking, there's great money to be made in it as well. Yep. And that was a bit of a light bulb moment. Like, it was never about the money. I was like, this is epic. I can go and help a bunch of people. And yeah, that was kind of when it started. And then the last 2.5 years have been a crazy journey, like very naive, starting it thinking, oh, I'm a pro surfer, all these schools will just book me, no worries. But it's taken 2 years to get to the kind of momentum that I'm at now, where I feel like I'm finally starting to turn a profit and starting to really build a bit of credibility in the industry, and starting to make people take a bit of notice of what I'm doing and build a bit of a positive reputation. But yeah, I'm sure we'll continue to talk about it. There's been a whole lot of different stuff that's happened over the last few years, and I'm really proud of it, but I'm also excited for what's to come in the future. Man, I think correct me if I'm wrong, but this may be a little bit of a different dynamic of conversation to what you might be used to when we're talking about what your business is. It's like, I think often from all the interviews I've seen, we're talking about the positive message that it sends, which is great, how many people it helps, which is great. But I'd really like to dive into your psychology and your journey of building as a business, because it's, obviously in the world of mental health, often we spoke about it off air, that often it's assumed it is done as a charity. And
I'm sure there's been a lot of lessons in this growth phase of just 2 years of trying to build this momentum. And what's that really look like for you?
Yeah, like I said before, I was quite naive when I started thinking, oh, people will just book me. I'm a pro surfer. And I soon found out you have to build credibility. You have to get some runs on the board to even get your foot in the door. So I started trying to charge $200 or $300 to get into a school, but wasn't getting any traction. And then started to do quite a lot for free, and it was epic. People were really loving it, but I still didn't have that credibility. And to be honest, looking back, my workshop sucked. It was so average compared to what I do now. I'm very confident in my ability and I've gathered a lot of data, but because that was quite difficult to get into schools, trying to get into corporates, because it initially just started as a speaking business, and it was so hard to get in anywhere, but I was so passionate about getting people to see what I had to say that I looked at going the charity route. There's obviously a lot of great mental health charities out there, and I was like, you know what? I can fundraise probably. I've got incredible network around me, from my brother-in-law Fisher to a lot of my friends are top-level athletes, and I felt like I could probably put on some big fundraising events and raise some money and then go and offer my workshops for free to schools, which would have been epic. I'd love to be able to go and offer it for free to schools. But then I started to look into charities, started to look into a lot of the mental health ones and look at all the financial reporting, and just saw, for one, the lack of transparency between a lot of them, the amount of workshops they were running. I was beginning to get up to par with them, but they were raising millions of dollars to do it. And I just didn't really agree with how a lot of it looked in my mind. And I fully went through lawyers, had a board of directors set up. I was almost about to pull the trigger of the charity. And then right around when that happened, I started to get a couple more bookings. My merch started to pick up, and I was like, maybe I don't need to go down this, because I realized there was going to be so much more legalities to deal with. I realized there was going to be just a lot of loops to jump through, or hoops to jump through as a charity, a lot of financial reporting and stuff that aren't really my strong point. I wanted to keep my freedom and my creativity and be able to kind of take the direction I wanted to. And I also realized it put a big, a ceiling above my head. Nobody wants to see somebody paying himself $500,000 as a charity, but if you're a business owner, the sky's the limit. So that was kind of the transition over the last 18 months. That's kind of been the last 12 months, because as well, I've been juggling my professional surf career. Like last year in 2021, I spent 4.5 months overseas traveling, competing. So I had to put the business on hold. Whereas if I'm a charity, you can't do that. You still have to be turning over stuff and reporting. So I'm glad I didn't go the charity route. And yeah, I'm stoked with where I'm at now with the business. It's starting to pick up a bit of momentum.
Arguably as well, just in your position, given that you have so many pillars that we'll dive into next, that you now have a larger opportunity, a larger spread to help, because your workshops, yes, are a large degree of help, but then you've got the apparel side of things. And I know that a lot of your apparel are conversation pieces, and they create awareness and they bring up topics, and they, it's what are you grateful for? Those kind of things that are opening up more doors for just everyone, not just the people that pay you for the merch. So arguably there's a lot more people that you can help directly, and it's a little bit more of a direct line. Yeah,
I think it's just a lot more scalable once you have different avenues in the business, which you can do as a charity. But yeah, I just like the freedom of being able to be a lot more creative. I can make a lot more mistakes and not have the consequences as having to do all the reporting and stuff.
Yep.
But yeah, it's been great. I've made so many mistakes and had so many learnings over the last couple of years, but yeah, I don't really look at any of them as mistakes, because I've just learnt so much. If the business failed tomorrow, I reckon I could start up and do something else pretty well, just because I have learnt all the skills, because I've done everything myself, from building the website to designing the merch to dealing with suppliers to developing my workshops to producing my podcast, editing my podcast. There's just so many things, to building my ambassador team, to doing all my workshop bookings. There's just a million things that I've learnt, which I'm super grateful for. But yeah, as you said, the merch is a really cool little avenue of the business too. It allows me to be a bit more creative and make items that aren't just a piece of clothing. I think gone are the days where you save up $500 and go buy a Balenciaga shirt so you can look good in front of people and make people feel insignificant that they don't have something that you can afford. It's why don't you buy something that you can wear, and then somebody walks past you and reads it and it makes their day? It's you can literally be a walking billboard of positivity if you consciously try and support organizations and businesses that are trying to do good in the world, social enterprises that, at least as well as their conversation starters, the money's going back to a business which are funding projects to help schools, which is funding projects to go and do activations at big events that is mental health. For instance, next week, I'm sure this podcast might be out by the time it's on, Nitro World Games is on at Suncorp Stadium.
Yep.
and a few of my ambassadors, which I'm sure we'll talk about my ambassador program in a little bit, in Nitro World Games, Ryan Williams and Harry Bink. And through that, Nitro Circus have engaged me and the Good Human Factory, and we get to activate there. So I've got all my other ambassadors coming up. I'm going to have a big gratitude wall that the kids get an autograph signed by the athletes, but then they also get to write on this wall what they're grateful for. So it's actually trying to engage people rather than just be like, hey, we're like a mental health brand. It's like, let's start teaching skills. Let's start giving proactive takeaways for people.
Yeah. Okay. So there's a lot going on in your business, and I know you've got heaps of different moving parts, but you mentioned there that there's been a lot of learnings, a lot of things that you've kind of taken away over the last 2 years. What have been some of the bigger points where you've gone, fuck, I did not know how to do any of this shit, and what have you taken away from it?
Difficult things that I've gone through. Oh, so many. What's like a main one? Something I've kind of been not like it's not an actual thing. Something that I've been kind of dealing with is by doing everything yourself, it becomes a bit lonely. I've found it's like not having that person that you're waking up to sort of push you to, I don't know. I've got a lot of incredible people around me, a lot of mentors that really help me with the business, but nobody that's kind of alongside me as a partner, which I've found has been a little bit of a struggle, but now I am just starting to build a bit of a team around me, which is epic. But that's been something. And then imposter syndrome is massive. For me, like, I'm a pro surfer by trade. I do feel like I'm quite a switched on and self-aware person, and have always been very curious on ways to improve myself. So I feel like I do have quite a solid mind and quite a lot to add to the table, but I also don't have that psychology degree behind me. I don't have that formal education in mental health. So I do suffer quite a bit of sort of imposter syndrome. Like, who am I to get up and speak in front of all these people about mental health? And especially you get up in front of a big corporate group and they're like, what's this 28-year-old pro surfer going to teach us? So just trying to overcome that is something that I quite struggle with. And what else has been tricky? Right now, I'm kind of in the stage of potentially scaling and working with people to help me build the business, which just scares the shit out of me. Like, learning the finance side of everything and scaling and investors and equity is just something that's so out of my realm. But I'm also learning, if I want it to be in my realm, I can't just shy away from it. I need to start to educate myself and be open-minded and ask questions and find the right people around me that can assist me with the growth. Yeah,
I think from every business owner that I've spoken to on this pod that has, you know, a high degree of wealth or a high degree of success, the general consensus is growth and scale comes from upper levels of management and hiring a team of leadership and like dispersing that, you know, because right now you're in this space where like you're wearing every hat of the business.
Yeah.
And it's like when you can start to take off those hats, that's when real scale can happen, because it gives you the creative freedom to go, well, no, fuck, we need to go here. And there's someone else taking care of all the shit that like you're maybe less efficient at.
Yeah. And the thing that I'm kind of learning right now is I've been trying to employ people that are kind of friends and younger than me to like bring them up to my level. But I'm also learning right now, by doing that, it's making me have to spend a lot of time in training them, which is fine. But then I'm also realizing that's just bringing them up to my level. I need to start trying to get people who are smarter than me and can bring me up to their level and teach me stuff that I haven't learnt before. So yeah, it's a big learning curve, and it's something I'm going through right now that is extremely exciting, but also scares the shit out of me. But
because there's no way you can prepare for it, man. Like, especially if you're just like, you're coming up and you're just learning as you go. It's like, fuck.
And that's the mindset I'm realizing. I'm like, nobody knows how to do this the first time they do it. Yeah. So I'm like scared of it, but I'm also like, nobody feels confident the first time they scale a business. Nobody knows how to do it until they've done it. So that's kind of the mindset I'm trying to take into it.
Yeah. I think I heard this on a podcast just recently, actually. Don't know where. That when we're looking for like mentorships in business and growth, you need to have someone that's like got the cheat codes, that's done it. So not someone that has done, you know, let's say 20 to 50 million in growth, someone that's gone from their first 6 figures to their first 7. If that's where you're trying to go, you need to find that mentor because it's situational growth and situational education. The 30 to $50 million company, those skill sets may not serve you from 1 to 4. And it's like having someone that is situationally aware and understands that situation, not just because they're more successful. Because like human psychology, one thing that I suffer from this, man, I'm like, I can get kind of the shiny object syndrome. If I see someone that's like doing a 50, $100 million company, like I'm like, fuck, I want to learn from them, but maybe they're not going to be able to be actually applicable for where I am in business. Yeah. And it's like trying to find the appropriate people at this certain stage It was Nate Chan. We spoke about it yesterday. Yeah. So yeah, that was a bit of an eye opener to me. It was like, fuck, finding the person at the top may not be necessary at that given time.
Yeah, absolutely. I haven't really thought about it like that, but yeah, I just kind of, and as well, it's difficult because I'm doing something that is quite unique and I want to do something that's different to anyone else has really done. So there's never a direct blueprint, but it's just trying to look at different people in different industries and pull parts from their story that apply to what I'm trying to do. For instance, I have my workshops and I look at people like Hugh Van Cuylenberg with the Resilience Project, and their scalability came from creating an e-learning module and getting it out to 600 schools rather than having to go to the schools. Yep. So I'm looking at potentially scaling in that way. And then like with my community, with the 1% club that I do, which we'll talk about shortly, I want to turn that into an app so I can turn it into a far bigger thing. And then likewise with my merch, there's the opportunity to turn it into a bit of an e-com thing and drop shipping and making it like turn over a lot more with marketing, digital marketing and stuff, which are all realms that I'm aware of. But like you said, I kind of need to start bringing people in who have done that next stage to help me on that journey. But yeah,
it's just one of those things. Like if you want to go fast, go alone. You want to go far, you need to go together. Like,
exactly.
You need the people around you to like help pave the way.
And that's what I'm learning. And that's what this guy that's hopefully about to help me do some stuff with my merch and just the whole business as a whole. He's like, you can maintain 100% of the pie if you want and have 100% of a $200,000 business in 5 years, or you can start employing people bigger than you, giving away equity and have 50%.
The size of the pie matters.
Yeah, 50% of a $10 million pie is a lot more than 100% of a $200,000 pie. So I'm just trying to like learn all that and just not get too fearful, because I feel like a lot of my mindset around money has been ingrained in me from my parents, and nothing against them. They've done amazingly. My dad's about to pay off his house. He's like 60, but I don't want to be the guy that does a 40-year mortgage to pay off one house in my life. I want to be the guy that builds a $50 million business that can have the absolute financial freedom to do whatever the hell I want. So trying to break free of that ceiling that I feel like I've subconsciously got because of what my upbringing's been like has been a challenge, but it's something that I'm very conscious of, and just trying to overcome that limiting mindset that I do have underlying there.
I think that's generational, man, because you and I are the same age. You're 28?
Yeah.
So you and I, we've grown up in a similar generation where like, I think my parents would have a very similar view as to like what money is and how it is and how it works in the world.
Yeah.
And I was the same thing, grew up well, but it was never like, I never got taught how to best leverage money. And it was very this taboo topic, we don't have to talk about this. And it definitely followed me into my later years into like actually running a business and like having that mindset with how money should work or could work.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like so often we're taught at school that a good job is like make 150 grand a year and then pay off your mortgage in a little bit shorter. And I'm like, now the work that I'm doing, I'm realizing money isn't about trading your time for money. It's about offering value for money.
Fucking both.
And that's where I'm kind of now. I'm like learning, like for my corporate keynote, I'll charge $5,000 for an hour now. And it's like, I used to dig holes as a tradie for 4.5 weeks to make that sort of money. Yep. And it's just, and I feel guilty sometimes, but then I'm also like, wait a second, there's people making way more money for doing way less even than what I'm doing. But it's just because the school system we're raised in puts this limiting mindset on us that, I mean, the education system was built for factory workers. It was built for, all right, let's see if you can get up to $50 an hour. Like, good on you. Or if you can get up to $80 an hour, you're killing it. It's like I don't know. I saw a post on Instagram yesterday where it's like there's 1.1 million people studying business in Australia. And I understand there's a lot of people who study business and go on to be great businessmen. I'm not taking away from that, but I'm like,
the large majority don't though.
Think about the amount of hours that you'd invest in business at uni. Thousands of hours and $50,000 plus debt. Imagine if you spent those thousands of hours building your business.
Yep.
And spent that $50,000 that you're in debt on investing in your business, and spent a lot of that time using books, YouTube, talking to people, networking. Like, I mean, I'm a bad example because I do have a great network and I've been lucky to leverage off my surf career and my network to maybe get a bit of a head start.
But for most people, if time is the only thing you can leverage, I agree with you, man. If you could choose to leverage time for 5 years in your own accord or spend that time in a classroom, like there's a fair likelihood that you'll be able to kind of leverage your own time better.
And you're also learning the exact same as everyone else that's studying business with you. So it's like you're literally putting yourself in the same pool as everyone else and then trying to work it out. Whereas if you just go out there and find things, like you just miss out on the real world. You miss out on these opportunities. But
and I small little segue, little storyline. Like one of my friends, Danny, she's a pretty popular artist here in Melbourne, and she does really, really well for herself. But she was studying art at uni, right? I don't know what it said, paused uni, like deferred, right? Yep. And then she went over to America, traveled, did a bunch of paintings. She painted The Rock, right? Figured out, oh, The Rock's going to be in this state. I'm going to send him a photo of this painting. I'm going to and try and get it to him. He was like, come. Told her where he was. She gave this photo or this painting of The Rock and his mum to him. Blew her up.
Wow.
She came back. She went back to uni. One of her lecturers failed her on a topic. She literally was like, fuck this, I'm quitting. And she left her business card on the uni lecturer's table. She's like, I'm out. Because like, what else is she going to learn?
Yeah.
Other than just going to do art.
And it's crazy. Imagine how many business lecturers there are that don't have a business. And it's like, I've got an intern doing some stuff for me from down here in Melbourne, actually. She's epic and she's studying media and communication. And she's like, I'm teaching the teacher most of the stuff because like social media is like evolving so quickly that they have to write the curriculum and then teach it for the next 4 years, and it's 4 years behind already. So 100%. It's like, I don't know, I feel like uni's a very broken system. It's like, it's crazy. Obviously there's some things that definitely are important, from doctors to lawyers to things like that. Absolutely. But I don't know. And I feel like there's some great business people come out of business school. I responded to a Daily Mail saying exactly what I just said then, around like thousands of hours, 50,000. Someone's like, there's also incredible business people who have come out of uni. And I'm like, yeah, but there's a lot that haven't. Again,
exception to the rule. I think like as a majority, I think a large majority will move into someone else's business earning a capped like amount. And it's like, okay, cool. But I think like, that being said, like it's interesting you said the two things that school didn't teach you, right? Well, I can speak from experience: finance and how to manage it and run a business, and how to manage mental health. So like you're now in this spot where you're teaching mental health and learning on the fly how to manage a business and finance. It's a pretty interesting place to be.
Another one that I learned recently that you don't realize that they don't teach at school. I listened to a podcast. I'm sure you know the Diary of a CEO with Stephen Bartlett, with this guy Julian Treasure, who's like a speaking coach, and he's like, at school, we learn how to read and write, but we don't learn how to speak and listen. And it's like every single one of us speak and listen every single day, but they're a skill.
Yeah.
Like absolutely. Being able to speak in a way that's engaging, being able to use your voice as a tool, as an instrument, and then also being able to listen engagingly and understand that listening is a skill in itself. Yet we don't get taught that at school. It's crazy.
Do you think that podcasting taught you how to listen?
Like, yeah, isn't podcasting the most amazing way to just have conversations and learn how to like actually talk to someone and learn how to like follow a story, and getting to, I mean, being a host of a podcast, which I'm sure we'll talk about my podcast in a little bit, has been the most amazing experience ever. It's taught me, even when I'm out and about, to listen a lot more curiously, and also be able to follow up questions and be able to prod a bit further. And you can learn more from people when you learn how to listen actively and like follow the conversation rather. So many of us are listening in a way. I heard this quote and it's incredible. It goes, listen, don't just wait to talk. And so often, almost all of us every day are waiting for our chance to talk rather than actually listening. And you can learn a lot if you listen engagingly. And yeah, it's just something that I wish I learned earlier. And it's something that I actively am trying to get better at every single day now.
Are there any other things that you now actively try and pursue? Like just through the growth of where you are in life, and call it situational growth. Like what are you actively trying to improve upon now?
Just everything. I had another quote recently that it just made so much sense to me. It goes, do you want to go through life or do you want to grow through life? I was like, there's no reason why we shouldn't all be striving to continue to grow through life. Life can continually get better if we continue to educate ourselves, we continue to look for new ideas, and we just have a burning curiosity to learn people's stories. And that's something that I'm really trying to do, is not settle for just anything and different things like marginal gains every single day. Just trying to, every time we make any decision, we can make a little bit better decision, whether it be like, you might be someone who likes going to McDonald's all the time and go, like, all right, get a water instead of a Coke with your McDonald's, just the 1%ers. And these things continue to add up and just make our life better. So there's a lot of, I'm trying to actively work on everything, and I'm failing at a lot. Since building my business, like going from professional athlete life 12 months ago really to like now hardcore into my business, my health and like my fitness and nutrition have definitely started lacking. And I'm aware of that, but I'm also like, you know what? I'm trying to like build balance back into my life now with the new, obviously, direction it's going. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff that I'm actively learning on, but I think it just comes back to self-awareness. It's something I really pride myself on, from meditating every day to understand what's going on in my thoughts and trying to build a good relationship, and just being self-aware and not just going with the flow always in life with, just kind of like rolling with the punches, trying to actually, look at my life at what's going right, what's going wrong, and continue to improve on every aspect.
Do you think balance is realistically achievable?
Depends. I listened to a podcast with Stephen Bartlett last night with Tim Glover, the Michael Jordan's.
Oh yeah, Tim Glover. Yeah,
Tim Glover.
Yeah, Grover.
Yeah, and he was talking about, if you want to be the best, you're never gonna have balance. There's going to be things that are out of balance in your life, but I think balance is definitely achievable, but it's your own balance. Everyone's balance looks different, and you have to realize that the pendulum is going to swing both ways from time to time, and accept that, and realize that it's not about being in balance all the time. It's realizing that you catch yourself when you're starting to get really out of balance and pull yourself back. Exactly like me saying, I'm realizing now before it gets too late that my fitness and nutrition is out of whack. So I've been trying to actively work on that, even if it's just those 1%. Like I went to Pilates this morning. I'm down in Melbourne, obviously in studio with you guys right now. I live on the Gold Coast, but I went to Pilates this morning. I'm going straight from here to the gym again. I'm just trying to actively kickstart kind of that part of my life. But yeah, I think it just comes back to self-awareness.
Yeah. I think balance is one of these things, man. Like in my opinion, it positions the opposing force as the enemy. So for example, like I'm very similar to you, like when the business is growing, my health and nutrition is like absolute shit.
Yeah.
But when I start to go, well, I need balance, it positions the business as the enemy of like, well, I can't continue to do that and have this. And it's a mental awareness shift for me to be like, well, no, I need synergy. I need them to work together. I can't expect them to balance each other out because they never will.
Yeah.
And it's, that's been quite helpful for me to try and figure that out and like find synergy. I never have, but try.
And it's a constant battle, but it's just trying to find those things that work for you. And it continues to change. I think people find a strategy or a technique or something that they love doing. They might love yoga for a few months and then stop doing it, and then they really get angry at themselves because they don't do it. It's like, yeah, but we go through flows in life. Things change. And yeah, I think it's just always, like I said, growing through life, trying to continue to find new things that you enjoy doing so it keeps it fresh and fun.
So now that you're finding these new things as you grow through business, you said you started out as like essentially a workshop or a public speaking business.
Yeah.
What else have you added to that as you've been growing?
So the first thing that kind of got added was the podcast, Good Humans podcast. It started in 2020, May 2020, and I was with Podcast One back then. And it started because I was like, you know what, I've got such an incredible network of people, from athletes to musicians to business people to just amazing people around me, which I'm very fortunate. And I've done that not strategically, but I feel like I'm a very approachable person. I'm a very curious person. I'm always willing to have a conversation with someone and learn about them and give them the time of day. So I was like, let's start a podcast, because what I know is a micro percent of what there is to know, and what I've learnt won't be great for a lot of people. What I teach isn't going to be great for a whole lot of people, but if I can continue to talk to people about their lives, people might get inspired by someone else's story. So that's where the podcast started, and it's been a fun journey. The podcast, I was with Podcast One, and then it turned to Listener. I did 20 episodes with them on a contract, which was awesome, but we were doing like fortnightly episodes, and I wanted to the numbers weren't really going up. I was doing like 100 downloads a week or something, like not much at all. And then I don't know if they were getting offered or not. I never really got a gauge if they were like, all right, this guy's like not really worthy. And then I left them because I was like, I want to go up to weekly episodes, and they're like, we can't really facilitate that. And I was like, can I leave? And they're like, yep, no worries. So I left and started going to weekly episodes at sort of the end of, when did I do that? Kind of like end of 2021. I kind of had a few breaks with it. And then end of 2021, I took the podcast over myself and started doing weekly guest episodes. And then I added a second episode each week. We're talking about my community that I've built called the 1% Club, which is like accountability groups for meditation and gratitude. And then now I actually have a third episode a week where I'm doing a year sober. So on a Monday, I just talk about my journey and what I've kind of felt and learnt that week. So it's definitely grown, but I enjoy the podcast. It's just a way to scale and get what you want to say out to more people, and it's definitely grown quite a bit now. It's nice to have consistent listeners, get people reach out that are just strangers from all around the world. People stop you in the street saying like, oh, I love your podcast. It's nice to hear other people's stories. I love hearing what you're up to, and just hearing different ways to think, because that's what I really like people to do, is just be curious about not even just your mental health, but just your overall life. Be curious. How can I continue to improve? What are different things that I can do, whether it be listening to podcasts, reading books? I try and supply great resources for people to go where I've learned great things. I push them in that direction. It's not about just listening to me. It's like pushing to other places, from podcasts, books, speakers, different things different resources that I've got a lot of help from, and just helping people find them as well.
On everyone, hope you're well. I won't keep you too long. I know you're hopefully enjoying the podcast, and if you are, let us know. It would be really greatly appreciated if you can jump on, give us a quick 5-star review. You don't even need to stop listening to the show. If you're on Spotify, you can do it in less than 10 seconds, and it does help the show grow a lot. It helps us, get a bit of confirmation bias that we're doing the right thing. And just to say thank you, if you guys do that, we're going to be picking one person every month to guest spot on the podcast that has shared, liked, comment, subscribed, and interacted with what we do. Big thank you. Let's get back to it. Was there any strategy as to what way you went with the podcast and like what guests you brought on? Obviously, you've got a great network of people. Did you like map that out and go, okay, well, who's going to create the most amount of leverage? Who's going to help us help the most amount of people? Who's going to expose us to more audience, etc.?
Yes and no. I just like talking to people who have a cool story. Yeah. Definitely, there's like been an angle to try and get obviously people with the biggest profile possible, because that helps the podcast grow. It gets out to more people if they share it with their audience. Mm-hmm. But I've had a bunch of people who don't have a big following on as well, just because I've got an incredible story. So I just try and talk to people, and everybody has a story. That's the amazing thing. But my kind of podcast, especially my guest episodes, I'm really proud of how they work, because I don't hear that many other podcasts now, I think of it, that are anything like it, because I like to tell people's story from start to finish. Get kind of the origin, where they grew up, what their family life was like, because I think it really sets the scene as to why they are like they are now. Yeah. And then go into kind of their teen years of high school. What were their goals and ambitions? Where were you thinking of going? Because then I think people can relate back to their life, how they were in that time. And then as well, I'm so passionate about helping young people. So getting to talk about their high school years, what their dreams and ambitions were, and then how different all of our lives go. And then obviously most people have achieved or done something that is people know about.
Noteworthy.
Yeah. So then we'll get into how they got into that, why they did that, the challenges that people might not know about. Like, I like to talk about the highlights, but also the lowlights, which not many people do, because I think it's important to realize that we all go through struggling times, and we can learn from other people's struggles. Like my dad always said to me, it's great to learn from your mistakes, but it's even better to learn from somebody else's mistakes. And I've always tried to think about that. So if I can have conversations with people, learn, oh, they did that and it wasn't that helpful for them, I won't do that. Or they did that, it was really helpful for them, I'll use that in my life. And that's kind of where the podcast has gone. But yeah, it's been cool. I've had some amazing guests from top level athletes, from like world champion surfers, world champion wakeboarders. I've had X Games gold medalists. I've also had a bunch of like neuroscientists on, doctors, sleep experts, social media stars, singers, actors, just like a whole range of incredible people. And it just shows how different all of our lives are, which is really cool, I think.
And I think as well, like you said, everyone has a story, but I think everyone has a lesson. Like there's something to be learned from everyone.
Absolutely.
And like, I think you'd probably be able to speak to this very highly, that like even children, even teenage kids in school, like they can teach us a lot still. Like they're growing up through a world that is very different to what we grew up in.
I love that you say that. So I've just started with my ambassador program, a thing called Good Little Humans, literally like young athletes that are generally kind of connections through friends, kids and stuff like that. And I'm just about to launch a special podcast. I don't know if it would be weekly. I'm already swamped with so much stuff to do right now, and I've recorded one, but I need to record a few more. But I'm going to do a Good Little Humans podcast and speak to just kids and give them some nice little questions and just sort of...
That's awesome.
Yeah, we can learn a lot from them. I had like this 6-year-old on who's his little motorbike kid who's a good friend of mine's son. And yeah, I just sent him some merch and had him on the podcast. I haven't released it yet. I'm just trying to work out the angle still with it. But I think it's important to show like that we can learn from kids and not drop, you know what I mean? Drop the ego and be like, be open to learning from anyone.
Yeah. And I think business is the greatest teacher of all things, because it puts you in situations to do so, to learn from omnidirectionally. It's not just people above you, but people below. And it allows us to really take on, like, you know, you're in this scale portion now where you're looking at expanding and hiring and, you know, getting people around you. There's going to be points of that where you bring people on, quote unquote, below you that have a different role and so on. they're going to be giving you feedback in that you had no idea about. And I think it's a powerful place to be, and it allows you to kind of like bird's eye view. If it's done well, it allows any like CEO or founder to really bird's eye view, step back and go, okay, well, what's it actually like in the trenches? What's it like at the top, and how do I make it all work?
And that's why I like that I've kind of built everything from the start, so I kind of understand most of the aspects of the business now. But I mean, I just want to build like a family of people. I don't want it to be like, oh, there's bosses and stuff. It's like, no, I want to build, especially because it's called the Good Human Factory. I just want like a bunch of people to come together with the vision of making people's mental health better. Like, sure, there'll be different salaries and whatnot, but I want everyone to be able to have that opportunity and ambition to grow in the business and to have the freedom to do their own thing as well. And to, if they want to leave, go do what they do. Like, I just feel like gone are the days that you have to trap people, but yeah, it's just finding people who can add value and really share the same vision and values of what myself and my business hold, which is just trying to, inspire as many people as possible to think a bit differently about mental health and realize that mental health is not mental illness. It's something we all have. And if we can, inspire people all around the world to realize that, I think the world's going to be a better place.
Where does this look at, like, if we talk long-term vision, like the company as a whole, what's like the vision? What are you trying to actually achieve? Like if we say 5 to 10 years into the future?
I think exactly what I just said. For one is making mental health cool. That's why I've built this ambassador team of young pro athletes and make people be like, oh, wait a second, like mental health isn't just anxiety, depression, suicide. Mental health is meditating. Mental health is gratitude, and these things that have always kind of been looked at like woo-ha spiritual things. It's like there's so much great data and science now showing that so many high-level achievers are doing these holistic approaches, but nobody's really making money from them. So it's not marketed and advertised when, for one, you've got pharmaceuticals quashing everything that kind of tells you that you can build good mental health without using their products. And then also a lot of the stuff is free. So like gratitude, meditation, you don't really need to go and pay anyone to do it. You can do courses and whatnot, but it just comes back to taking responsibility.
Tattoo it on my hand and I'm sweet.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
It's a little reminder like that, but more so from an objective perspective. Like, where do you, like, right now the business is like you wear all the hats.
Yeah.
Like if we say 5 to 10 years, like what's your vision for like how many staff are you going to need? How many countries are you going to be exposed in? Like where do you see this actually growing to?
I think every pillar I've got has got an opportunity to grow. So like big vision, one of the key things that I really want to do, which I'm excited about, is so many athletes post-career get really lost and don't have purpose because we've all heard the stories of athletes being lost after their career. So what I want to do is give a platform for my ambassadors post-career to come and speak under the Good Human Factory, because I know now building the business is very hard to get the credibility to get in anywhere and build the clients. So I'd love to be able to coach and teach my ambassadors how to present their story in a way that's going to engage people, because I know my story is only going to inspire maybe 20% of an audience, but Harry Bink, a pro motocross rider who's an ambassador for me, he's been coming to me saying he wants to start getting into the speaking, and also my friend Alex Hayes. And now I've kind of paved that path to, one, have the credibility to get them into places, but also hopefully soon have the skills to be able to coach them to develop a workshop that's really engaging as well. So that's one pillar that I'm really excited about, to offer my ambassadors a bit of a pathway, which would be really special for me to be able to assist people post-career. So that's kind of the speaking side. Also, as I touched on before, turning to my program and what I teach into an e-learning thing.
Digital product.
Yeah, employing like a really good school teacher or like someone in the education system that understands that. Also employing a psychologist to help build this program that I can have my spin on and maybe do the voiceover and whatnot for it, and start scaling that way for the program so I don't actually have to physically be at the schools. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of the workshop side of thing. The merch, I'm just like in the midst right now of working with this guy who's like was creative director for Yeezy, for Kanye, for Yeezy, and Victoria's Secret and all these massive brands who I just got so lucky and randomly met through a friend. And he's like, man, I want to help you build it into this brand and this, into this thing. So hopefully the merch can really take off with his direction and kind of make it a bit more cut through and help me make it cool. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of the merch direction. I want to continue to grow the ambassador program. Something that I'd love to do is, if everything else goes to plan and grows and it turns into this multi-million-dollar business, I'd just love to kind of stick it to all the big, for me, the surf industry is kind of what I know best, but so many athletes are just so undervalued, I'm realizing. Now, especially doing quite a lot of social media work, like I can make like $2,000 for an Instagram post and I don't even have that big of a following. But I used to put a sticker on my surfboard, post multiple times a year for a sponsor, and then they'd still be angry at me, and I had to compete at a high level, and I'd make less money than that anyway. So trying to show athletes that your worth isn't just your performance. So if I can grow the business to a point where there's quite a bit of money coming in, I'd love to give all my ambassadors not you get this much, just like a base. It might be $5,000 and everyone gets the same. It's just like, go out there, be a good human and promote good mental health to people. And I think it would be pretty sick for like this mental health organization to be major sponsors of athletes, to kind of stick it to all these other, not stick it to, but just to
show the other side of the coin.
Show like it doesn't have to be this big surf brand or this big brand. Like for instance, one of my ambassadors, Matty Cox, was the only Aussie to go to the Winter Olympics for big air and slopestyle, which is like tricks in the park, snowboarding.
Yeah.
And I was talking to him and he couldn't go to one of his World Cup events last year. He's the best Aussie in his sport and he couldn't go to one of these like 5 World Cup events last year because he couldn't afford it. And I'm just like,
that should not happen.
That just pisses me off. I'm just like, I'd love to be able to. And he's like, yeah, I have one sponsor and they helped me get to the other ones, but I just they couldn't get me to like the last one. I'm like, imagine if like this mental health brand or like mental health organization could be like, here, Matty, here's $10,000, go and make sure you can chase your dream. Cause I was lucky enough to have a bit of support to chase my dream, but I did do my last 3 years digging holes to get to my events.
Yeah.
So I understand the other side of the coin, but I'm like, that's something that I'd love to be able to do, is build the merch, build the workshop and have a good flow of money coming into the business, a podcast, all these different assets or avenues of income, and be able to start paying my ambassadors. Like that would be really special to me, knowing that other athletes who are my friends and even younger people starting to come through now. I'd love to continue to grow that team.
To be able to like sponsor people just based on being a good human.
Yeah.
Like that's fucking sick.
And it's obviously great to have the top, and I'm very lucky. A lot of my friends are the best. Like for instance, you look at my ambassador program, I've got like Ben Tudhope, who just got Paralympian of the Year, bronze medal in the Paralympics, legend, one of my like best mates now. Storm Sanders, who just won the US Open of tennis in mixed doubles for Australia. And she's an incredible story. She bought one of my Be Kind to Your Mind shirts and just tagged me on Instagram really, really early days. And I clicked on her profile and I was like, oh, this chick's about to play tennis in the Oz Open. I just sent her a message. I was like, hey, thanks so much for buying one of my shirts. And she's like, oh, I love everything you do. And I was like, I just started the ambassador. I was like, do you want to be an ambassador? And she was like, yeah. And ever since then, she got like 3rd in Wimbledon. She played in the Olympics with Ash Barty in doubles. And yeah, just won the US Open in mixed doubles, which is like crazy. And so she's an ambassador for me. We have Harley Clifford, who's the greatest of all time wakeboarder, 8-time world champion and one of my best mates. Corey Tunison, who's current world champion wakeboarder, 4-time world champ, one of my best mates. Ryan Williams, who's the best extreme sport athlete in the world. You don't have to, you can try and argue with me, but I guarantee you'll lose. He's just the most phenomenal dude ever, but he's also the most amazing person ever. He's not about, he wins a lot of comps, but he's about just going to the skate park, hanging out with the kids, inspiring them, making YouTube content. So it's like, I've built this group of people who are not only extremely talented, but really have strong values and morals, and trying to just show that, yeah, mental health can be something that we're open about, where, yeah, like that's cool.
You seem like just like, even just the way you talk about your friends, man, and just the network you have. Because like, correct me if I'm wrong, but a lot of people in your position who have been a pro surfer all have connections. But it seems like you are very much an opportunist that like, okay, I have connections. I need to progress this. I need to actually use it to my advantage and other people's advantage. Like, it seems like you're very aware that there's an opportunity there. And if you don't take it, it's going to just fly by.
Yeah. I mean, I just love hanging out with my mates, and it's really cool to be able to, I don't know, I feel like life's like this big game of chess in a way that hopefully doesn't come across as like super opportunistic, like I'm using anybody. And
no, I don't mean it in a using. I just mean like, it seems like you are very aware that there is so much out there to take, and not to take, to grasp. There's so much there on the table.
And I understand as well, when I was an athlete, when I was an athlete, I still surf professionally, but when I was super focused on it, I did some stuff with Lifeline as an ambassador, and it just didn't feel right. It was like I was getting paid a bit of money to do it. It just didn't feel authentic. It felt like there was this massive charity that was trying to use my profile to do something, whereas I'm working with my ambassadors. I don't obviously pay them anything yet, but they don't have any requirements other than, if you want to reshare my stuff, if you want to wear the merch, epic. If not, it's all good. I don't want to put any pressure because I know I can't pay anyone yet.
Yep.
But they're all on the journey with me. They're all part of it. Especially, it's cool that they've mostly been there from the start now. So they've seen the growth, and most of them are my best mates. I catch up with them and I literally don't stop talking about what I do with the Good Human Factory.
Yeah.
which I don't know, maybe sometimes comes across that I'm just always talk about myself and what I'm doing, but I just get super
exciting.
It's just exciting. And because they're all coming on the journey with me, it makes it even more exciting. Like when I have new merch, I just give it out to them all and they're stoked. And then when they have big events on, we like post about it on socials, and I have a big group chat with all the ambassadors and be like, get around this person, and all these athletes from all different avenues all support each other. Like I've got 2 divers, Britt O'Brien and Sam Fricker, who both just got a bronze and a silver at the Com Games. Like just so many random sports all like kind of connecting together to, share a common message of something that is mental health. And I'm very lucky that mental health is an industry that I can work with anybody.
Yeah.
I don't have, you know what I mean? There's nowhere that I can't go. I can go full circle. I can work with corporates. I can work with athletes. I can work with schools. I can go anywhere. And my whole angle is to use the action sport and the young engagement side of stuff to spread that message.
Where do you see the largest opportunity now in your business? You've got so many pillars.
It's I don't know. I just feel like everything's growing at the same time. Obviously, this opportunity with this guy, this creative director, to help me with the merch, I think is one way to massively scale in a way that can have global reach and use his networks in the States and whatnot, like through Kanye and Jay-Z and all these people he's told me he can potentially get the clothes on. I think that's like a great way to scale and really get a lot of people wearing the merch. Yep. The podcast is obviously a great opportunity if I can continue to grow that. It's been a bit of a slow burn, but it's getting to the point now where it's starting to get quite a lot of listens. So I think that's a great way to scale because it's not physically having to be somewhere. Everything's got the opportunity. And then as well, my community called the 1% Good Club, which I'm super excited about. Basically 18 months ago, I was like, I'm preaching gratitude and meditation to everyone on my workshops and on my socials, on my podcast, but I deep down knew I wasn't doing it every day. And I was like, I need the accountability. And we're 95% more likely to maintain a habit if we have an accountability group. So I was doing a meditation one day and I was like thinking this in my head. And I was like, I literally stopped the meditation midway through. And I was like, I got to work out, like, surely we can give 1% of our day to our mental health. And I was like, all right, got the calculator out. What's 1% of a 24-hour day? And worked it out. It's 14 minutes, around about 14 minutes. So I was like, all right, surely we can give 1% of our day to our mental health, 14 minutes. How do I build a 14-minute program? And I was like, all right, I'll start Instagram accountability, Instagram DMs, and I'll add back up until a few weeks ago, you could only have 32 in a group chat. And I was like, I'll send a guided 10-minute meditation every morning just from a YouTube link. And then I'll write 3 things I'm grateful for on my Instagram story and then send the story to the group chat and then tell everyone to write 3 things they're grateful for in the group. So it's like 10 minutes meditation, 4 minutes of gratitude at night. There's your 1%. There's your bare minimum. And in the first week, I think there was like 60 people signed up. And I'm at day 465 in a row now where I've done it. And it's profoundly changed my life, the gratitude. But now there's like 950 members from all around the world. And each week there's like 3,000 gratitudes written in, which is just like crazy reading, just like 3 little things that people are grateful for each day. It really, for one, brings a smile to my face. But I've got hundreds of people in the community that send me messages every day going like, this has profoundly changed mine and my family's life because now we practice gratitude together. I'm teaching myself meditation through just these YouTube links he's sending me, and it's completely free. I just did it for myself for accountability. And now it's turned into this kind of cool little thing where, as I said, 900 people get a meditation sent every morning. Everyone writes their gratitudes each night. It's completely free. So if anyone's listening and wants to join and goes, you know what, I probably do need a bit of accountability, you can send at the Good Human Factory a message on Instagram, say I want to join the club, and you can join in.
I'll be joining today.
Yeah, it's really cool, man. It's even if you don't do the meditation in the morning, just reading everyone's gratitudes, it's cool. You just see what people are grateful for each day. It's sick.
That's a really big opportunity when we talk about like perceived value, right? Like people as a whole, we value community, we value that culture, and like, man, if you're building out this to be something that's like globally accessible, that's a big opportunity to like provide so much value to people, man.
Well, that's what I kind of got, not the idea from Gary Vaynerchuk, but the idea of Gary V would always say like, just offer, and then not then try and sell a product, but then people want to be involved. You know what I mean? We'll be happy to.
They will want to pay for it.
Exactly. So I was like, what am I really doing? I'm asking people to buy my merch. I'm doing workshops. So they're like kind of supporting the workshop, but not really. So I was like, this 1% club now, like literally every single day for 450 days, I spend 10, 15 minutes sending the meditation to all the group chats. It doesn't actually take me that much time, but it's just got this crazy reach. So I want to continue to grow that, but the goal is to turn that potentially into an app that's called like the 1% app, where it's like build your 14 minutes. So you go on and you have to choose what you want to do 14 minutes. It might be 4 minutes of journaling, 5 minutes of meditation, 3 minutes of breathing, and then you write your gratitudes. And I want to start, if I could grow it to this thing where there's 1 million members, imagine if there was like every time you refresh all around the world that you could read like people's gratitudes, and it was like this Twitter wall, but only you write what you're grateful for. Like I think it could change the world. Like it could seriously change the vibration of a lot of people's day. But as you've probably heard, I've got so many different ideas and things that I want to grow, and it's just me right now. So it'll come with time.
But that's the thing, man. Any real entrepreneur there's two things.
Vision.
Two things I know to be true, man. All entrepreneurs, all people that are good at what they do in their given field, it's never enough. One, we always want to do more.
Find a way.
Yeah, and two, we've got 1 million fucking ideas.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's the hardest part, trying to focus in on one and go, this is where I need to go.
Exactly, and like I said, I've got all these ideas, but each of them I'm just slowly working at. Whereas now I'm trying to build that team. And then as well, like my speaking is gotten so much better. I'm starting to build a lot of corporate clients. Like I just spoke for Apple and Telstra at a big conference, which was pretty special. I'm speaking at a McDonald's conference next week. So it's cool to start building the speaking and keynote career, because there's crazy money to be made in that too. But then there's also such incredible ways to get into schools and speak to kids. Like if you go on my website, you can see my homepage. There's a picture of me with like 800 students in a room.
We'll pop it up.
Yeah. And it's really cool to understand just doing it in person. I just love getting to kids come up after and going like, oh, I really love that. It's so cool. Like I use this bucket thing, actually, you'll see on the thing. So I use this bucket analogy, and I stand out the front and I've got like 5 small buckets of water and then 1 big bucket that's transparent. And I say, all right, we all go through hard times and our bucket fills up. Like, and when that bucket overflows, that's reaching mental illness, having to ask for help. But our goal should be to never let that bucket fully fill up. We should always be emptying it. So I have all these holes on the side of the bucket. But first I go, who's had a family member pass away and it's been pretty hard on their mental health? All the room's handle go up. I pour some water in the bucket. My mental health gets a bit worse. I go, who's been bullied before, had something mean said to them? A lot of hands will go up. I pour some water in. This negatively affects our mental health. Who's run into a bit of financial trouble or not being able to do what they want to do because of a money problem? A lot of hands will go up. Pour some water in the bucket. And I go, who's been injured or had an illness and it's made you not be able to do the things that you love to do? A lot of hands will go up. So I show we all go through these things. Absolutely. It's normal. But what we have to do is learn how to empty that bucket. So I have all these holes on the side of the bucket covered by stickers. And then I go, these are the 5 values that I live by that I know my mental health bucket will empty. So the first one's responsibility. So it starts with, it's the main one. You have to take responsibility yourself. You can always blame other people for your downfalls and for things that happen in your life. We can all make excuses, but once you take personal responsibility, that's the first step. And then I talk about gratitude, how gratitude's changed my life, share a few stories, do a little exercise. And then I talk about empathy, the importance of empathy, all the different skills from listening to respecting others' feelings and emotions and not holding judgment. Then I talk about mindfulness, the importance of anchoring ourselves in the present, having a good understanding of our brain and learning and being curious. How can we slow our brain down? How can we get the most out of it? How can we build a strong relationship with it? And then I finish with kindness, because kindness is something that we all know what it is, but now through studying not studying, but speaking to neuroscientists and understanding that kindness is like this hack. By being kind to someone, it makes us feel good as well. Yet we live in this world of marketing. We get marketed thousands of times a day telling you, when you get this, then you'll be happy. Once you get this car, then you'll be happy. Once you go on this holiday to Bali, then you'll be happy. It's all wrong. We can be happy by being nice to people. We can be happy by showing gratitude. We can be happy by slowing ourselves down and doing mindfulness. So I'm just trying to teach people really easy skills that we all have access to, but you need to take a bit of responsibility. So yeah, it's awesome getting to do that up on stage with kids and corporates, and yeah, just develop programs to hopefully inspire and spark curiosity in people.
I think that even like, man, my cogs are just turning in my head now. Like I even think that like that actually heavily relates into how you can run a business as well. Like if you have those 5 pillars in place, and in any problem, because there's always fucking problems, you apply those 5 pillars, you can probably navigate those problems in a far more less hard way. I think like there's definitely been times in my career that I should have done that. Yeah.
And the main thing that I kind of start my presentation and my workshop with, and this is what I live by, is throughout my junior career, I had quite a bit of success, and my well-being and my identity and self-worth was all anchored in my pro surf career. So when I was doing well, people would pat me on the back. All my best mates knew me as Cooper Chapman, the pro surfer. And that was all well and good while I was a pro surfer and while I was doing well in my junior career. But then I went to the international tour and wasn't winning as much, and my mental health really started to decline. I was very lost because my identity was all Cooper Chapman, the pro surfer. I then spoke to my sports psych and basically told him how I was feeling. I was like, oh, people are so disappointed in me, all this. And he's like, mate, I want you to stop basing your self-worth and identity on your achievements, because we're going to come up short of our achievements in business, in life all the time. And I want you to start anchoring your self-worth and identity in how well you live to your values. And that changed my life. That was where I was like, you know what are my values? And they're those 5 things I talked about, and now the values that I try and live by every day. And the byproduct of that is good mental health. It's not wait until you're struggling and then go and ask for help. It's let's build a maintenance plan. Let's do these things and build it into our lifestyle, and our mental health takes care of itself. I like to think of it like, imagine there's a big wave. You're a big wave surfer. Big wave surfer doesn't wait for that swell to get there to just paddle out and go for it. They do all the preparation so that when that big wave comes, they can ride it. And we're all going to have this big wave come at times in our life, like I said before, from family members passing away, from financial troubles. These are all things that we all go through. And unless we're prepared, it's going to be very difficult. So these are all different skills that if we start to build into daily habits, our mental health kind of takes care of itself, whereas so many of us are waiting for that wave to come. It smashes us and we don't know what to do. But yeah, that's kind of an analogy I'm working on trying to get right at the moment.
And I think it holds true.
Yeah.
You can't control when the big wave's coming.
Exactly. So it's like, as long as you're best prepared for it, then you get to ride the wave and you can navigate through that wave.
Well, more so as long as you're continuing to try and prepare. Like it's that continual 1% compounding better.
You give yourself the best chance possible if you have those things in place.
Looking back, man, now that you've probably had a fair few big waves come in through your business and through your life, if you could go back and learn something earlier in your growth of business, in the starting of all this, like now that you are where you are, if you could go back and tell you something like, okay, prepare for this thing, learn it earlier, what would be a skill set you feel like you would have liked to know earlier?
Money.
Yeah.
Terrible with finance. Something that, like I said at the start, I think family might have been a bit of a trigger with it. Nothing against my family, once again. It's just something to the way they've been raised. Yeah. I wish I had, and I still to this day I say this every time when people ask me, I still talk about it, but I still haven't gone and really studied it, and I'm just like expecting it to just pop up in my head. So I'm very conscious of that. It's something that I want to learn better and learn how to budget and learn how to do stuff. As well, I wish I offered my workshop for free more at the start, built my confidence, built my credibility for free rather than it would have probably sped up my process. But to be honest, I look back and I wouldn't change anything. I'm here because of what I've done and what I've got wrong, and just that mindset that I've carried through it, that I just haven't even looked at slowing down. I didn't realize how many people there kind of were that doubted what I was doing. From even my accountant would just be like, oh, like, are you sure? Like, everyone's thought it was kind of this stage and this fad of me trying to do something, but I'd never have once thought that this wasn't going to be kind of my long range plan in life, because I just feel so aligned with what I'm doing. It's so special knowing that every single day, whether it be from the 1% Club, from my podcast, from my workshops, I'm reaching thousands of people every day that hopefully are improving their lives, because I've been so lucky that people have helped me on my path, from coaches to sports psychologists, and the opportunities I've had as an athlete. I just feel like it's my service to share what I've learned and continue to learn and continue to share that with people, because people don't have that mentality and that mindset to do it themselves sometimes. So if I can help push people in the direction to learn that, then yeah, that's what I'm kind of here to do now, I think.
I think like now, I'd assume that's where like a large portion of the vision for the long term with your business comes from, is just trying to make sure that that can compound for everyone.
Yeah, for sure.
If we look at like last question for you, man, because I think this is probably will tie where you are in business, where you are in life, and obviously what you've got around you in your network all together. You've got a lot of high achievers around you, both in business and in like professional career life and so on. What do you feel like the most common trait is across them all?
Most common trait? I'm trying to think. I think just the people around me that really inspire me is kindness. I feel like there's so many, I don't know how to explain this. I feel like so many people get ahead in business by kind of being sneaky, ripping people off and kind of taking shortcuts, but that's something I'm really trying to pride myself on. And there's been a few people in my life that have taught me that. There's this guy, Sam Moore, who I work with, who owns a motocross brand called Fist Handwear, and he's a big mentor for me. I work out of their office. They help me a lot with my merch right now. And he's kind of just taught me, like, you're going to get ripped off from time to time, but just continue to be kind to people, like, and learn that that's just the way that person is going through their life, and like, don't take on when somebody does something that might rip you off a bit. Just continue to be kind, and it's going to take maybe a bit longer sometimes, but I think my opportunities have come so much from just saying hi to someone walking down the street. Like, for instance, something that happened to me recently, I've been manifesting I need to improve my keynote. I need to work with a coach and improve my speaking skills. I understand I'm pretty good, but I'm like 2 years into doing this. I'm an apprentice. I've got no idea. And it's taken me 15 years to get to the top 100 surfers in the world. I'm looking at this business and speaking career as 15 years if I want to get to that sort of point. I'm not trying to play this. It's definitely sped up and I feel like I'm doing really well, but there's a long way to go. And so I was manifesting I need to get this speaking coach. And I went to get a massage one day, like midweek. My sister's got me one for my birthday, and I went to this place and I was standing in line ready to go into my massage, and I was in all white. I have like this gratitude merch that's all white. And this guy was in all white and walked past me and he's like, oh, hey mate, like, love your hoodie. And I was like, oh, thanks man. Like, just had a chat. Like, I love just having chats to people in public. And he was like, oh, it's a cool hoodie, gratitude. Like, where'd you get that? And I was like, oh, I actually made it. And he was like, oh, so cool. Like, I was like, yeah, I have a mental health organization. He's like, oh, my friend outside who I'm just having a coffee with used to work for the Black Dog Institute, where I actually had a friend who took his own life recently. We're going to Melbourne soon to go to his funeral. Like, I feel like you've kind of been put in my life for a reason right now. I was like, oh yeah. And he's like, yeah, I used to be a creative director for Nike and some of these big brands and blah, blah, blah. Can I grab your number? Maybe I can help you with your business a little bit if you're open for a coffee. And I was like, yeah, why not? Got his number, send him a message. And he's like, oh, here, have a look at this. You can learn a bit more about me, and sends me a TED talk. And he's like, this guy that's done this crazy TED talk in adversity, and we catch up for a coffee and tell him a bit more what I'm doing. And he's like, man, I just love your passion, how like nice you are, obviously trying to do this for the right reasons. And I've never met someone who can tell stories like this guy. Phenomenal. And he was like, what do you need help with? And I was like, to be honest, I'm really looking to do this. And he's like, oh, I'm actually like a speaking coach and like work with like top level CEOs as like a transformational life coach. And I was like, oh, cool. And he's like, do you want me to maybe help you write your keynote? And I was like, yeah, for sure. And just like from just being open to being nice to people, smiling, you know what I mean, having a conversation with a stranger, I've got now like one of the best speaking coaches in the world helping me for free. I've got this guy who's like one of the biggest creative directors in the world helping me with other stuff. So I think from me being open, but also just really trying to lead with kindness, whether it be to you get that saying all the time, like be as kind to the waiter as everyone else. But I think just like being kind to people, it makes you feel good when you're kind to people, and opportunities have just landed in my lap so often recently because of it.
I can agree.
That kind of went away from your question of what's the trait that people have. But as well, another trait that you see so many high achievers do is meditation. I'm like, it just keeps coming up. The more people I see who are calm, make good decisions, don't react to things, respond to things, meditation's a massive common denominator.
That's a cool way to put this. Respond, don't react. I like that.
It's a good one, isn't it? I heard that recently and I was like, yeah. And I feel like meditation creates that gap. Instead of reacting to a situation, take a breath, respond to it. It's a lot more mature way to do it. It's a lot better way to do it in business, and
a lot less painful.
Yeah, exactly.
A lot less painful. Man, Cooper, thank you for coming on. This has been a great chat. Where can people find you and learn more about what the Good Human Factory has to offer?
Obviously social media. My social media is just at Cooper Chapman. The Good Human Factory is at The Good Human Factory. Website, thegoodhumanfactory.com. You can learn more about my workshops, my merch. Basically all of the pillars you heard are on the website, so you can go check all that out. But yeah, and then my podcast is just Good Humans with Cooper Chapman on Spotify and all the platforms. But yeah, reach out. I love getting to have a chat. If you enjoyed this episode, reach out. Ask me any questions. I'm always super open. I respond to all my DMs, and yeah, as I'm sure you guys will say, make sure you share the podcast around, because I think people can learn from other people's stories, and hopefully my story can inspire people to go and have a go and maybe take better care of their mental health.
Awesome, man. Fully agree. Thank you so much for coming, and thank you for everyone listening. We'll talk soon.
Cheers, legends.
It's only worth it if you work for it. It's only worth it if you work for it. I won't stop till they hear me now. I won't stop till I wear the crown.